A long time ago, on the edge of an old forest, there lived a woodcutter with his wife and a little daughter. In the forest, it was very cold. So the little girl's mother stitched her a pretty Red Riding Hood. The little girl loved the riding hood so much that she wore it wherever she went. Soon, everyone began calling her Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood's mother and father let her play in the forest, but her mother often said to her, "Don't go too deep in the forest, my child, for there are many dangerous animals just waiting to eat you up." Little Red Riding Hood had a grandmother who lived on the other side of the forest. Little Red Riding Hood would eagerly wait for a weekly visit to her grandmother's house. Little Red Riding Hood would ask her father to take her through the forest on his horse. One day, while Little Red Riding Hood was playing in the forest, an old woodcutter came running to see her. He was her father's friend. The old woodcutter came up to her and said, "Hurry, little one, go and tell your father and mother that your grandmother is very ill." She ran in to tell her mother the sad news. Little Red Riding Hood's mother said, "We have to send these medicines to your grandmother at once, but your father is away cutting woods. What shall we do?" Little Red Riding Hood said, "Mother, I'll go to Grandma's house. She will be glad to see me." So Little Red Riding Hood's mother put the medicines in a basket. Little Red Riding Hood ran out of her cottage and headed for her grandmother's cottage. On the way, Little Red Riding Hood stopped and said to herself, "If I go around the forest, it will take a long time to reach Grandma's house. If I go through the forest, I'll get faster and I'll be able to give Grandma her medicine." Her heart beat fast as she ran through the tall, dark trees and stones in the forest. A wicked old wolf spotted her. He said to himself, "Ah, today is my lucky day. That little girl is all alone in the forest. She would make a tasty meal." The wicked old wolf took another path and ran ahead of Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood had never seen the wolf before. So, although she was afraid, she stopped and said, "Good day, sir." The wolf was surprised. He said, "Ah, hello, little girl. Where are you going?" "I'm going to my grandmother's cottage. She's ill and needs some medicine." The wicked wolf thought to himself, "Ah, it's truly a lucky day for me. I'll eat up the grandmother and then I'll eat this tasty little girl. Go, go, you must hurry and get the medicines to her." She ran away towards her grandma's cottage. The wicked wolf ran through a shortcut in the forest and reached grandma's cottage. Quietly, he opened the door and entered the cottage. The wolf found Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother sleeping in her bed. He was so hungry that he pounced on her and swallowed her in one gulp. The cunning wolf knew that if he pounced on Little Red Riding Hood, she would scream and alert the woodcutters nearby. So he decided to trick Little Red Riding Hood. He dressed up in a grandma's clothes and put on Granny's cap and lay down in her bed. Little Red Riding Hood finally reached Grandma's cottage. There was only a little candle in the bedroom, so Little Red Riding Hood found it difficult to see. She ran inside and shouted, "Grandma, Grandma, how are you? I brought your medicines, don't worry." She thought that the wolf was a grandmother. The wolf tried to make it sound like an old lady as he said, "Thank you for coming, my child. Put down your basket and come sit by my side." "Oh, Grandma, your voice sounds so different. You must be so ill. Why don't you take the medicines that Mother has sent for you?" The wolf replied, "Oh, don't worry, my child. I'll get better if you just hold my hand." Little Red Riding Hood smiled and looked closely into her grandmother's face. "Grandma, Grandma, what big eyes you have!" The wolf quickly replied, "Better to see you, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood looked closer and said, "Grandma, what big ears you have!" The wolf replied, "The better to hear you, my dear." The Little Red Riding Hood said, "My goodness, Grandma, what big teeth you have! The better to eat you, my dear." Little Red Riding Hood ran out of the cottage, screaming, "Help me, help me!" Just then, Little Red Riding Hood's father came riding on his horse. Little Red Riding Hood's father killed the wicked wolf with one sweep of his axe. Just then, they heard a muffled sound coming from the wicked wolf's belly. They cut open the wolf's belly and found that Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother was still alive. Now, I hope you realize what happens when you talk to strangers, my child. Little Red Riding Hood promised not to talk to strangers or walk alone in the forest again, and they all lived happily ever after.